friends and YouTube, it's Gabriel Reyes, and I am back with another installment of reviews for television movies, Halloween edition. And in this one, I'm going to be reviewing a very controversial television movie. In October of 1999, there was a Disney Channel original movie that premiered, well, pretty much that month and that year, right around Halloween time, and it was a little known title called Don't Look Under the Bed. Now, the very interesting thing about this movie is that it was Disney Channel's first PG rated movie, and at the time when it aired, it became very controversial, and here's the reason why it was controversial. It was scary. Now, the reason for that is, if you guys have seen this movie and you know about it, you know, back when it first aired and throughout the years, if you've gotten the chance to see it somewhere online or if you record it in some way, you definitely look back and definitely now understand why parents at that time were very concerned about this film. The whole plot of this movie is that Frances is starting her first day of high school, and then all of a sudden there are these weird things happening, like practical jokes that are being taken way too far. And then one day, this guy named Larry is an imaginary friend who actually comes to help Frances to try to figure out what this whole trouble is going on around her town. And of course, as the story progresses, she finds out that Larry is actually the imaginary best friend of her little brother. Now, the whole story about how her little brother's connected to all this is that there was a subplot of what happened to the little brother, and that we actually figured out that he actually had cancer, and Frances was actually going to volunteer to donate her bone marrow to save his life, but her other brother, her older brother, decided to do it instead. She didn't want to do it because she was scared. And then as we go on through the movie and the story and all, we actually find out that the boogeyman is actually causing all this, and the boogeyman is blaming everything on Frances. And then throughout the whole process, Larry is still trying to help her, still trying to comprehend all the stuff that's been happening, and trying to figure out herself as well. Because it kind of seems like Frances is definitely taking a lot of things personals, concerning the stuff that's happened to her brother, and that, you know, they're trying to move on from him recovering from that cancer scare. Then as things start to go along, then Frances and Larry try to save Frances' little brother now, because he just got kidnapped by the boogeyman under her bed, and then all of a sudden they actually go under her bed to Boogie World, where it's pretty much a very scary place. Like, if you guys have watched the movie, that like the landscape is really interesting, because it's all like just giant toys and like discarded food under like the bed that you would find under beds, and it's like, wow, like I have to say, it was really amazing how they made it all look like that. So that was really cool. And towards the end, as they're battling the boogeyman, we actually find out that the boogeyman was actually Frances' old imaginary friend, like her imaginary friend that she completely forgot because of her little brother having cancer and having to, you know, cope with growing up of things that was happening. And of course, the boogeyman, or, you know, Frances' imaginary friend, happens to be Zoe, a girl, and even Larry was surprised about it. And towards the end, Larry and Zoe are figuring out that there are actually a lot of other boogeymen that are haunting across like other towns and cities, and it's up to them to go and try to stop those boogeymen to change them back into imaginary friends, because apparently a lot of imaginary friends who have been forgotten are turning into boogeymen. So it's a very interesting thing to have that in the plot of this, in the ending. And the really sweet thing about the ending is that the little brother goes into Francis's room, and that, you know, he wants to, you know, sleep next to her, and, you know, just, you know, he doesn't want to be alone, you know, because of what they just encountered and everything. And, you know, it's one of those, you know, lovely sibling bond relations. And then what's really sweet at the ending is that Larry and Zoe are right there, you know, looking down on them, saying that they'll definitely be okay, and that one day they might come back to visit them. Okay, now to get to the facts about why this movie was controversial. And of course, if you guys remembered what I said, it was pretty much earlier in the video, but I'm definitely going to explain a little bit more. And again, it's very interesting that this movie was so controversial because it was scary. Because if you watch the movie, there were some certain scenes that really made it, you know, scary, especially with some of the dolls, toys, and statues that all had heads. Because every time when Frances would go, whenever she would walk by the dolls or something with a head, they would turn. And that really gave it a creepy vibe. Like, it's bad enough where in horror movies you would see a doll move its head. And, you know, that's something that you would see in a horror movie. And for something like that to be in a Disney Channel movie, yeah, that was kind of creepy. But I think the most creepy part was the fact that the actor who played the boogeyman and the actor who played Larry that was turning into a boogeyman. Oh my god, I have to say they looked pretty scary. And considering like they had like the really gross, gruesome long nails, their faces were all like scarred, they had fangs, their eyes, and oh man, I have to say, they looked really good. That was good prosthetics and makeup, and just the fact that they looked so scary was just really good. I mean, they looked awesomely scary, and that's a good thing. But the thing is, I can't help but just feel so bad that even after when this movie aired, like, they still showed it like almost every year for Halloween, but I think somewhere in between those years they stopped showing it. Disney Channel, like the channel network itself, just stopped showing this movie, and to me that's kind of a sad thing, because Don't Look Under the Bed is one of those most underrated Disney Channel movies because of, well, how scary it was, and the fact that it was the network's first PG-13 television movie. It really gives a perspective of how far they were going. Remember, this movie came out in 1999. This was the late 90s, and Disney Channel was trying to really go all out with some of their movies on the network at that time. So they really wanted to, you know, step up the stakes. But I think with this movie, with Don't Look Under the Bed, they definitely had to step back a little bit. Because, again, considering that this movie was pretty scary for some kids and that the adults were really concerned about it, it really gave Disney a perspective of trying to go back and rethink of what they're doing with their movies. And, you know, it is understandable why they had to do it, but the fact that a movie like Don't Look Under the Bed was controversial because of its scariness and all that, it just really gives that perspective of how far a network was willing to go with some of their movies. And to me, I praise the director, the writers, producers, the set designers, the makeup artists, and all the actors who were in this movie. I praise them so much for doing this movie and for really stepping up the game of what Disney Channel was doing back then. And for that, again, I have to praise everybody who was involved with this movie, because during the past 10 to 15 years now of Disney Channel, at this point, we haven't seen a movie like at that level of Don't Look Under the Bed in quite a while. And honestly, I don't know if we're ever going to see a movie like that again. But who knows? They might take that risk again. But, you know, we'll just have to see in time. It's all about time. And for that, I hope one day that we get a Disney Channel movie that's at that level of Don't Look Under the Bed that they were going with back then. And again, it was 1999. They were trying to go all out, and it was a big risk, and it definitely did pay off. But you know, it kind of took it back on the fact that they haven't showed the movie on Disney Channel for quite a while. So again, hopefully one day they'll show it on the network again. But until then, enjoy watching it on demand, you know, throughout the month that it's on, with October for it being Halloween and everything. But yeah, enjoy the fact that it's on demand during the month of October. Just be glad for that, because I am. I was so glad to watch this movie again after so long, and trying to watch it every year, just remembering watching this movie back then. So it was great just watching it again. Okay, you guys, so that was my review of Disney Channel's Don't Look Under the Bed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you know when my next video is coming up. Alright, you guys, I'm Gabriel Reyes. I'm out. I'll see you in the next Halloween edition video for this month. See ya.